right now, the first part of our financial graph module is done. We explored the main possibilities for scatter plots, and now we are going to explore candlestick. I hope you are ready for this second part. Let's go. Let's add a new title. We're gonna call this chapter Candlestick. Yeah. We are going to start by adding a basic candlestick. Gonna add a title. Basic candlestick, first of all. As usual, the methodology doesn't change, and you're gonna see why the methodology is very important, mainly when we're gonna have to mix different type of data. But let's go with the candlestick. First of all, we're gonna start with figure declaration. Fig equal go dot figure. Here we're gonna add our trace. That's gonna be exactly the same. Fig dot add trace with here, instead of go dot scatter, we're gonna have go dot candle stick. On the x-axis we will have, yeah, you can have more information about the candlestick with enter shift plus tab. As you can see, we're gonna need the lowest price, the open price, the highest price. Yeah, okay, let's start by the x-axis. On the x-axis, again, we're gonna use the dates which have been defined in this first cell. What we are going to do here is we're gonna define our other column. We have the date, we have the closing price, we're gonna have the highest price. Let's keep in lowercase because Python is case sensitive, that's why that's always better to keep it in lowercase. Maybe AAPL dot high, and for the lowest price that's gonna be DF AAPL dot low, and for the open price that's gonna be DF, our data frame AAPL dot open. Let's execute. Okay, all our values are stuck. Okay, on the x-axis we're gonna have our dates. Then if you want to check the different arguments, you have all your argument here. Concerning the argument, okay, that's open. Concerning the open price, that's gonna be equal to open price, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Then for the highest price, you're gonna say high equal high, low equal low, and close equal close. And at the end of that, you just gonna ask Plotly to show Plotly show again fig dot show and execute. Yeah, well done, you have your first candlestick. The main difference between a candlestick and scatter plot. On scatter plot, you're just gonna have to define your X and Y axis. As you can see, a scatter plot gonna evolve over the time, which means you're just gonna need like an X and Y axis. While for the, if we look at our candlestick, if we look more in depth, if we make a zoom, let's take a day with the highest volatility. Yeah, as you can see, if you slide on any days, let's say on the 30th December 2016, you're gonna have your open price, your highest price, your lowest price, and the price at the end of the day. That's why you need to, instead of just having your X and Y axis, here you're gonna need your open price, your highest price, your lowest price, and the price at the end of the day. But again, what is nice to discover with Plotly is how Plotly is powerful. You can go on any data, you're gonna have all the data that you need on each day that you need. Let's say we are analyzing Apple stock price. We are seeing that we have a major event on this day. You know, you can just like see that the price moved from at the lowest on 92 and at the highest on 108.8 during the same day. And you can just Google, and that's gonna be one of your mission. Google it and check what happened on the 24th of August 2015 for Apple stock. That's the power of candlestick charts, is to be able to see the volatility of the stock. Other point, for example, that you can see with your candlestick charts, as you can see, the volatility of Apple stock look to be much more stable over the time. If you go back in 2015, the variation tend to be much higher. But we're gonna go back on the volatility in another chapter. Here we are here to learn how to plot our data. And last point to note before to go further on candlestick is the point that with candlestick the slider is set to true by default. If you want to unactivate the slider, you have just to say run slider equal false. But we're gonna do it afterwards. No worries. Okay, once we define and we plotted our graph, what we are going to do, we are going to first of all update the layouts as usual. We can even just take what we have done concerning the layout on the previous scatter plots, execute. We have Apple stock price in USD, our date, Apple stock price evolution. Yeah, we can as well add a dictionary. That's why that's interesting to have like a database with different line of code. Basically, for myself, I know that when I'm working on a project, I have already on the side different code which are already made, and that's make me gain a substantial amount of time. Okay, right now we're just gonna add the different run selector as done previously. Similarly, if we want our 20 days data, we can have this data pretty quickly. We are going to keep all our data, and now, for example, if you want, what we are going to do, that's something which is very useful mainly when you are going to present your Jupyter notebook to someone, is to be able to add annotation. We're gonna add a new module here, add annotation. in order to add annotation, on which module we are going to work, we are going to update the layout again. We can add annotation at the following, but now what I just want to update the layout again. You know, as I explained you before, like you declare a figure, you show your figure at the end, and in between you update your layout, x-axis, y-axis, and you can add whatever you want inside your graph by this way. Now what we are going to do, we are going to add some annotation. In order to add annotation, first of all, what we're gonna do, what I want to do here is to be able to add two different how can I explain that? Two different lines here and here, on which I'm gonna say period of, okay, let's say between the, let me focus on this period, let's say between the 10th of August and the 1st of September 2015, and I'm gonna call this period of high volatility. Let's say, for example, or otherwise we can also do something which is different. As you can see, okay, let's go on all our data. As you can see, since the yeah, you see, since the since the 7th of December 2016, as you can see, there is a trend which is going to the high for the Apple stock. We can just like add a shape here, which is gonna be a line, and we're gonna add some annotation such as such something like increasing period or starting point of a bull market. Okay, let's define it by this way. We're gonna add an annotation here, which we're gonna state as beginning of bull market. Yeah, and in order to add an annotation, we're gonna just write annotation, and if you go in depth, you're gonna see that annotation, as well as similarly to run selector, annotation is dictionary. We're gonna do that. Dict annotation gonna be a dictionary, and inside this dictionary you're gonna have to set your X value, which is gonna be our date here. We're gonna use 2016 December 7. You're gonna have to put your position on the y-axis. That's gonna be in percentage. Let's say if you put 0.5, the annotation gonna be here. What we want the annotation to be here. Let's say like between 5 and 10%. Okay, let's say 7%, 0.07. Then we're gonna have to add the text, which gonna be bull market starts. Okay, I just found out the mistake. I forgot the S on annotation. Yeah, and as you can see here, we have our annotation, which is bull market starts. we're gonna add some different arguments, such as, yeah, essentially our bull market is starting on the 7th of December, but like as you can see, that's in the middle. What we're gonna ask to Plotly to execute is gonna be to add X anchor and set it to the left. Second point, as you can see here, we set it up from 0, which means that selected 7% of the entire value. And if you want to avoid this type of mistake, what you can add after y equals 0.07, say y ref equal paper. And now, as you can see here, we have our bull market starting on the 7th. Okay, we still have 2 points to solve. The text is little bit yeah, as you can see here, we have a small arrow that we want to remove. What we're gonna do, we're just gonna say show arrow equal false, and forgot the comma, execute. Yeah, we have our text here, bull market starts. Other points that I wanted to add is gonna be a shape here, which gonna set up the first day of the bull market. Or let's say, instead of bull market, we're gonna say increasing period. Increasing period. Okay. Okay, made a small mistake. Okay. Yes. Top, reprise. Okay, if you want a line on this day, what we're gonna do, instead of annotation, we're gonna ask Python to create a shape. Similarly, we're gonna need a dictionary. What we're gonna do, we're just gonna copy and paste this dictionary here. Okay, we're gonna need the first date, the last date. It's gonna be x0 and x1. You can have all the different arguments by going on Plotly website. You're gonna have all the different arguments on, let's say, if you type shapes, you're gonna have all the different properties for the shapes layout. Figure represents, and you're gonna have all the different arguments and all the different possibilities that you're gonna be able to have. Okay, here we're gonna need to set up our x0, our x1, our y0, and our y1. As I explained you before, the y-axis is gonna be percentage, which means y0 gonna start from the down and 1 gonna be 100%. Again, y ref gonna be paper, and now if we execute, that's much. Okay, we don't need any text right here, but what we're gonna need to ask, okay, yeah, That sounds good. Yeah, okay, now we just set it up. We just set up our annotation. Essentially what we have just done right now, we add an annotation, which means a text. In our figure update layout, you can go on Plotly, just say update layout. And you're gonna have all your information. If you go, you're gonna have all the information on how to update your layout. And whatever you're looking to do is like a Bible here. Okay, now we add annotation and we added a shape. A shape is exactly similar to when you are on PowerPoint or on your Word document. For example, when you add a shape on your document, it's exactly the same here. What we ask Plotly to do is just to add a shape from 0% to 100%. Let's say if here I just want to use 30% to 100%, I just have to type 03 to 1, and as you can see, the shape is stopping here. That's as easy as that. There is 2 points to remember before to go to the next step and OHLC graphs. First of all, that y is in percentage, and second of all, that adding annotations and shapes are in the update layout module. Yeah. Cool. Well done. You just right now updated your OHLC graph. You have all your data as usual, and now we can conclude on our module on candlestick graphs. I just wanted to show you first of all how easy it is to plot any type of candlestick. The first point that you have to remember, and one of the most important point, is like candlestick need 4 arguments. On top of x-axis, which are open, highest price, lowest price, and closing price, and indeed the x-axis. And second point that we have seen exclusively for the candlestick graph is how to add annotation. Adding annotation is a little bit more complex and little bit longer, but essentially like that's making, once you have your code template, that's much more easier. You just have to copy and paste, and after you can just move your shapes. You can add different shapes. For example, if you want to add a shape in between this period which we're gonna call period of variation, you can just like shape, modify the dates. You can even, something I didn't talk here, but like you can even change the thickness of the line. For example, if you want to set up a new line thickness, you can just type line width. I didn't export it, but yeah, we can just go here before to conclude these points. Is line width equal to, and you can just like modify if you want line width equal 10. You have different possibilities. Essentially, to make a quick recap again, like the first point that you have to learn is candlestick need 4 arguments, and second point is if you want to add annotation, that's gonna be in update layout module. You're gonna have your annotation, your shapes if you want to add any shapes, and that's why I want you to learn from this module.